Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me, over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Good afternoon and welcome to the Human Hub. I'm your host, Lady Norma, also called Norma Carey, and I am broadcasting via YouTube. The Human Hub theme song is Oh Freedom. It's an African American spiritual and sung by me. Please note that the views, the opinions expressed by the hosts, the guests, callers, are not necessarily the views of the staff, the uh, sponsors of YouTube. Now, Human Hub promotes human well being, which means that human beings, well, Human Hub wants each and every human being on earth to have consistently the means of basic survival on planet Earth. Clean air, clean water, restful sleep, nutritious food, shelter, utilities, and clothing, all at the same time. And human beings, a human being is precious like gold. Every human life is sacred. One has sovereignty over one's being, one's body, one's mind, and energy field. One has the right to be on earth, to be well educated, to be well informed, and to be discerning. Human Hub encourages human beings to feel good, to be happy, and to have compassion, respect, appreciation, and love for themselves and for each other, as well as to have compassion and love for the collective human experience. Now, today, I'll do a short recap of what I did in video one, just very short here. Um, in my first video, I was saying, human beings at this point are no longer to be enslaved. Enslavement of human beings is over. It's just over and done. And I think we're seeing the tail end of it. There's a lot of this going on the planet right now. It seems to be intensifying at the same time the amount of love is also increasing. But for sure, the enslavement of human beings is over. And that is one of the greatest changes that human beings are experiencing at this time. Um, being having to do someone else's will. It is time for each and every human being to be able to have sovereignty over their being, and for that sovereignty to be respected by every other human being. Now human beings are free by nature. We are indeed love at our core, and freedom is an aspect of that love. Therefore, human beings are free by nature. And at this time, human beings intend to live a free lifestyle that's in alignment with the freedom of who we are. One is sovereign over one's own being. Now, that's another point that we covered before. This is a universal principle. This is a universal law. Each and every human being, is made in the image and likeness of the Creator. The Creator is completely free. The Creator has complete sovereignty, and so do we. We have sovereignty means that the decisions that are made, that we make in our lives, are supreme. The decisions that we make take precedence. Other people may want to speak into our lives and all of that. However, in the end, each and every one of us is has the last say about what happens in our lives. And then the last thing we discussed in the previous video was that U.S. citizens, please study the United States Constitution so that we really understand the laws under which we live, just day to day. Please do that. That would be very helpful. Now, moving forward, uh, today I wanted to just briefly touch on some subjects. Number one, human beings as a species right now are simply growing up. The way, you have a baby and the baby grows up. Well, human beings as a species, we're growing up now. Um, at this point, we just simply know more. And we are more discerning about what we're intending to allow in our lives. We're more discerning about what we intend to see uh, in our world. Right now, we're having a situation where um, we're seeing, you know, in big boldness, the things that many human beings find inappropriate. And now it is time for us to understand that we are not only the directors and the actors and the executive producers in the movie that we call our lives, we're also the screenwriters. And therefore, when we look at our lives, what we see around us is the outpicturing of the thought patterns we had before. And when we see what we have created before, when we see the patterns we have, uh, because we can tell what patterns we have, or what thought patterns we have, because of what is surrounding us. Well, when we see that, now it's time to get in touch with the screenwriter portion of ourselves and say, you know what, we're going to write a different script here. Just simply change the script. Uh, Sometimes we attempt to do other things, but one of the most effective ways to actually live in alignment with the freedom that we are is to write a new script. That's usually the most efficient. Okay. Um, Now, as human beings, as we're growing up, like all other, um, well, we can watch a child grow up, we can watch trees grow, we can watch our pets grow up. Okay. Well, you get to a point where you're really, right now, I'd say human beings as a group now, human beings as a group are not exactly teenagers. We're moving more into adulthood at this point as human beings. We would be in our late teens at this point. We have an understanding of how to live on this planet and um, how to enjoy ourselves on the planet and how to be of service to each other and the planet. We know how to do these things. Um, so I would say we're not just little kids anymore as a species. We are indeed growing up, and then as we grow up, then what? Then now certain things of our childhood we are going to say no, no. Sure, we used to listen to and do all the things our mother said, but not now. No, we're grown now. We're grown up now as a species, and so therefore we're saying um, we're taking up the reins of our own lives, and we're doing this individually, and we're doing this collectively. And when we take up the reins of our own lives, then that means the people who were guiding us before, it's now time for them to take a strictly guidance position. They can speak to us, they can advise us, but it's an advisory role. At this point, it's not one where we're saying to them, "Oh, go ahead and you know have your way with me." That's over. No, at this point, we are getting in touch with our own will. Okay, and then like anyone growing up, just getting in touch with one's own will is something that is to be done, and just really understanding the our character, the nature of our energy, the nature of our thoughts, the nature, basically understanding our own character, and then operating accordingly. These are the things that are being done right now. And hey, we navigated it as actual teenagers going into adulthood. So we can do this now as a species. We can do it as a country. Uh, I think we're going to be fine, actually. We're growing up like any other beings that are growing up. We make mistakes, and because we know just enough to get ourselves in some real trouble, so okay, the mistakes we make may be really uh, real doozies, but okay, we're doing fine. I think we're actually doing just fine. Okay, and then I also wanted to bring up here that right now, what human beings are also doing since we're growing up is we are claiming, our freedom. We're claiming ourselves. We're claiming our planet. We're saying, okay, this is ours, and this is ours to do, and taking real responsibility there. So that's good. Um, and then the other thing I want to bring up this in this video is this: intending rather than fighting. Okay, the concept of fighting something one does not like or want. It's a very interesting thing. We've been taught this. This is the way to handle something that we feel we don't want, is to fight it. Um, that has an interesting and sometimes, I don't know, kind of sabotaging effect. Because let's say we're talking about the smoking, all right? Let's say we're going to talk about smoking, and we've decided that we don't want to do smoking. Okay, if you fight smoking, the first thing you have to do to fight smoking is to have an image in your head of this, whatever it is that you're smoking. Whatever this is burning, you have to actually have that in your head. Well, if one is in a position to, the concept of fighting typically focuses one's mind toward the thing that is not wanted, toward a behavior or an object or something that's not wanted. Well, if you spend most of your time focusing on what is not wanted, then there is much less time for things that are wanted. And from that perspective, a lot of times it's much more efficient to, as a way to get what one wants. It's more efficient if one intends what is wanted. Make a clear intention. This is the situation. This is the object. This is the thing that is wanted. And rather than fighting, because fighting will cause you one to focus attention on what is not wanted. Okay? And then we know, what do we know about attention? Where we, whatever the thing on which we place our attention tends to expand, to grow, to intensify. So if the goal is to have something else, one does not want to focus one's attention on what is not wanted. Focus one's attention on what is wanted. Okay, that a lot of times that's something that may seem a little bit difficult, but I think give it a little bit of thought. Give it a little bit of thought. Fighting tends to focus our attention on what is not wanted. Intention tends to focus our attention on what is wanted. And we're going to more efficiently get what we do want when we focus our attention there. Okay? So that concludes the video for right now. Thank you very much for listening. And this is what we have. Today is the 7th of July. Today is Tuesday, July 7th. And just this past Saturday, it was July 4th, the 250th anniversary of the United States. So happy birthday to the United States. God bless America. Love God our Lord, stand beside her and guide her through